My name is Eleanor Hayes, and I am 34 years old. When I was 12, my mother flew to Europe for a month and left me alone in our house with $30, a dead phone line, and a refrigerator that held nothing but mustard, half a carton of milk, and 3 bruised apples. She told the neighbors I was staying with relatives. She told my school I had the flu. She told herself I was old enough to manage. Today, after returning from another luxury vacation overseas, she stepped back onto the property she believed would always belong to her. What she saw waiting behind the front doors made her scream so loudly the driver dropped her bags. Before I tell you what happened, comment where you are watching from. And subscribe if you have ever had to stand up to someone in your own family who thought your silence meant weakness. I grew up in Lake Forest, just outside Chicago, in one of those neighborhoods where every lawn looked trimmed with scissors and every family photograph was designed to lie. Our house was a red brick mansion with white columns, black shutters, polished brass handles, and a curved driveway wide enough for 3 cars. From the road, people saw wealth, taste, and tradition. They saw charity luncheons, holiday parties, and smiling daughters in matching dresses. They did not see what happened when the guests went home. My mother, Vanessa Whitmore Hayes, was the kind of woman who could cry at a fundraiser for orphaned children and then ignore her own daughter for weeks. She cared about reputation the way other people cared about oxygen. Every plate had to match. Every curtain had to hang perfectly. Every word spoken in public had to protect the Hayes name. If I stained a dress, she called it humiliation. If I got a B in math, she called it betrayal. If I asked for attention, she called it dramatics. My younger sister, Brianna, learned early that pleasing our mother was easier than loving me. She was 3 years younger, blonde, delicate, and endlessly praised for doing almost nothing. If Brianna spilled orange juice on the carpet, she was an energetic child. If I left a book on the sofa, I was lazy and disrespectful. If Brianna cried, the whole house stopped. If I cried, my mother told me to fix my face before someone saw. The summer I turned 12, my mother announced that she needed rest. She said parenting had drained her spirit. She said Europe would restore her. Brianna was invited because my mother said she was too young to be left behind. I stood in the kitchen with my backpack still on, listening as my mother slid $30 across the marble counter. She did not look guilty. She looked irritated that I was making goodbye awkward. "There is cereal," she said. "Do not touch my things. Do not embarrass me." Then she left. For 31 days, I learned how quiet a big house could become. I stretched those $30 until my stomach cramped. I walked to a discount store and bought bread, peanut butter, and noodles. When the milk spoiled, I drank water from the tap. When thunderstorms rolled over the lake, I slept in the hallway because the windows shook too hard. I did my homework at the kitchen table, washed my own clothes, and told teachers my mother was upstairs resting whenever they called. No one came. When she finally returned, tanned and laughing, she brought Brianna silk scarves, perfume, and a tiny gold bracelet. She brought me a keychain from Paris and said I should be grateful. That was the moment something inside me stopped asking to be loved. It did not die. It hardened. Years passed. I became the responsible daughter because someone had to understand bills, lawyers, repairs, taxes, and the quiet machinery that kept our family fortune breathing. My father died when I was 19, and after the funeral, my mother performed grief so convincingly that half the town sent flowers. Behind closed doors, she was angry that his will required oversight before she could liquidate certain assets. She hated paperwork. She hated limits. Most of all, she hated that my father had named me as a future trustee once I turned 25. She never forgave him for that. She spent anyway. She renovated rooms that did not need renovating. She bought art she did not understand. She upgraded cars, donated loudly, hosted dinners, and trained Brianna to believe that money appeared because beautiful people deserved it. Meanwhile, I went to college on scholarships, worked nights at an accounting office, and studied estate law because I knew one day the truth would arrive wearing expensive shoes. My mother still treated me like hired help. She called when the internet bill was late. She called when Brianna overdrew an account. She called when a contractor threatened legal action. She called when she needed someone to remember passwords, argue with banks, or pay people quietly so the neighbors would not hear. She never asked how I was. She never said thank you, unless strangers were nearby. But there was one thing they did not know. My father had protected the house through a separate trust. The mansion could not be sold, refinanced, or transferred without trustee approval. When I turned 25, that authority passed to me. For years, I let them live there, because throwing my own mother out felt impossible. Stupid soft heart, right? That is how toxic families survive. They do not need chains when they have guilt. Then my mother took Brianna to Rome and Paris for a month. Again, she posted champagne breakfasts, private tours, designer shopping bags, and captions about healing, abundance, and feminine joy. She ignored every message from creditors. She left unpaid staff wages, overdue property taxes, and a leaking roof over the east wing. The gardener called me. The housekeeper called me. The insurance agent called me. My mother sent me one text from a hotel balcony. "Handle it, Eleanor. Don't be difficult." So we handle it. For the first time in my life, I stopped protecting her from the consequences she had earned. I met with attorneys. I reviewed every trust document. I paid the legitimate debts connected to the property from a reserve account my father had created for preservation, not indulgence. I terminated unauthorized service contracts. I changed the security system. I documented every unpaid invoice, every forged signature, every misuse of estate assets. Then, 3 days before my mother came home, the court approved emergency restrictions on her access to the property. By the morning she returned, the Lake Forest mansion was beautiful, the lawn was perfect, the marble steps gleamed, the front doors shone beneath the autumn sun. But legally, financially, and practically, the house no longer answered to Vanessa Hayes. It answered to me. I stood on the front porch at 4:15 in the afternoon wearing a charcoal coat, black trousers, and the small pearl earrings my father had given me before his last surgery. I was not trembling. I was not rehearsing. I had done all my trembling years earlier in dark hallways while my mother slept across an ocean. A black luxury SUV rolled through the gate and followed the curve of the driveway. The tires crushed the pale gravel with that expensive, confident sound rich people love because it makes arrival feel important. The vehicle stopped at the base of the steps. The driver climbed out first, opened the rear door, and began removing luggage. My mother stepped out like she was entering a camera frame. Vanessa was 61, though she fought that number like it had personally insulted her. She wore oversized sunglasses, a cream silk scarf, a camel coat, and enough jewelry to suggest she had confused an airport with a gala. Her skin had the polished glow of expensive hotels and careless sleep. Brianna emerged behind her, 31 years old and still moving through the world as if invisible servants existed just outside every room. She wore a white tracksuit, gold hoop earrings, and a sour expression. 2 massive designer suitcases hit the pavement beside her. My mother did not smile when she saw me. She barely paused. "Eleanor," she said, flicking her fingers toward the SUV. "Pay the driver $300. Brianna and I maxed everything out in Paris. He says he does not take checks, and I am far too exhausted to deal with nonsense." The driver looked embarrassed. Brianna looked bored. "Seriously," Brianna added, dragging one suitcase a few inches, and then giving up. "Can you hurry? My feet are killing me. And do not start one of your lectures. We just got off an international flight." I looked at them from the porch. For a second, I saw the old kitchen, $30 on marble. My mother's hand withdrawing as if generosity disgusted her. I saw myself at 12, counting coins under a flickering pantry light. Then I looked back at the women in front of me. "No," I said. It was not loud. It did not need to be. My mother removed her sunglasses slowly, like a queen witnessing treason from a servant. "What did you say?" I said no. Brianna laughed once. "Oh my God. Are you doing therapy language now?" My mother's face tightened. "Pay the driver, Eleanor." "I already paid him," I said. The driver cleared his throat. "Yes, ma'am." She did. That irritated my mother more than refusal. Her control depended on public obedience, and a stranger had just confirmed mine. "Then why are you standing there like a statue?" she snapped. "Bring the bags inside." "No." The word landed harder the second time. Brianna stared at me. "What is wrong with you?" "Nothing," I said. "That is new for this family." My mother climbed the first step. "I do not have the energy for whatever little emotional ambush you planned while we were away. Move." She reached for the door handle. It did not open. At first, she assumed the antique lock had stuck. She pulled again. The brass handle stayed firm. She looked at me, annoyed but not yet afraid. "Open the door. I can't let you in." The driver stopped moving luggage. Brianna straightened. My mother blinked. "Excuse me? You no longer have unrestricted access to this property." For the first time that afternoon, silence touched her. Then she laughed. It was a sharp, brittle laugh meant to remind everyone that reality belonged to her. "Do you hear yourself? This is my home." "It was never fully yours," I said. "It belonged to the Hayes Residential Trust. Dad made sure of that." Her eyes narrowed. "Do not bring your father into your tantrum. He brought me into the trust." Brianna looked between us. "Mom, what is she talking about?" My mother ignored her. "You are not keeping me out of my own house. I am enforcing a court order." I opened the folder I had been holding against my side. The papers were clipped, signed, and stamped. I handed one copy to my mother. She refused to take it, so it fluttered against her coat and fell onto the step. Brianna picked it up with 2 fingers, as if legal documents carried disease. Her eyes moved across the page. Color drained from her cheeks. "Mom," she whispered. My mother snatched it from her. Her mouth opened slightly as she read. The sunglasses dangled from one hand. The driver looked anywhere else. "This is absurd," she said. "This cannot be real." "It is real. You manipulated some clerk." "No, I provided evidence." "What evidence?" "Unpaid property taxes, unauthorized loans, misuse of trust assets, attempts to pledge items that do not belong to you, contractor complaints, staff wage disputes, insurance violations, and Brianna's return fraud situation." Brianna gasped. "That was handled." "It was hidden," I said. "Badly." My mother turned on her. "What return fraud?" Brianna's mouth snapped shut. For decades, they had survived by aiming blame at me. Now the blame had nowhere comfortable to go. My mother faced me again, and the mask slipped enough for me to see the rage underneath. "You ungrateful little viper." There it was. The real voice. Not the luncheon voice. Not the charity voice. The kitchen voice. The hallway voice. The voice I knew better than lullabies. "I fed you," she hissed. "I clothed you. I gave you this life. You left me with $30 for a month when I was 12. Her expression flickered, not with remorse, but irritation that I remembered. "You are still clinging to that ridiculous story?" It was not a story. It was my childhood. Brianna rolled her eyes, but I saw uncertainty underneath. She had been in Europe that summer, eating gelato and choosing bracelets. She had never asked what I ate. My mother stepped closer. "You think one sad memory gives you the right to humiliate me?" "No," I said. "The trust does." She slapped me. The sound cracked through the driveway. Brianna flinched. The driver took one step back. My face turned with the force, but my body stayed still. My cheek burned. Years ago, that would have shattered me. Today, it clarified everything. I looked at the security camera above the door. "Thank you," I said. My mother followed my gaze. Her face changed. "You recorded this? The property has active surveillance now." She lowered her hand slowly. At that exact moment, a second car pulled into the driveway. Then a third, a gray sedan with my attorney inside. A white van from the estate management company. And behind them, a patrol car requested by the court officer because my attorney had warned me my mother might become volatile. My mother stared as if the entire world had conspired to become factual. A woman in a navy suit stepped out of the gray sedan and approached with a leather briefcase. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm Dana Merritt, counsel for the trustee. You have been formally notified that your access is suspended pending review. Temporary accommodations have been arranged at the Lakeside Inn for 7 nights. Personal essentials will be inventoried and delivered." Brianna shouted, "The Lakeside Inn? That place has 3 stars." Dana did not blink. "It has doors that open." I almost smiled. My mother turned red. "I will destroy you for this." "No," I said. "You already tried. You just failed slowly." The court officer approached next, calm and heavyset, with kind eyes that had probably seen too many families rot behind expensive doors. He explained the order in plain language. My mother argued. Then she threatened. Then she cried. Each performance arrived exactly on schedule. She said she was ill. She said I was unstable. She said my father would be ashamed. She said daughters did not do this to mothers. I listened without interrupting, because lies sound smaller when they are allowed to tire themselves out. When she finally ran out of breath, I spoke. Dad was ashamed, I said. Not of me. That one hurt her. I saw it land. Brianna grabbed my arm. Ellie, please. This is crazy. We can talk inside. I looked down at her hand until she removed it. You do not call me Ellie. Her lips trembled, but not from love. From inconvenience. What are we supposed to do? She asked. Learn what things cost. She laughed in disbelief. You are enjoying this? No, I said. I enjoyed very little about becoming the person who had to do this. That was the truth. Revenge stories make the final moment look sweet. Sometimes it is. But mostly, it is quiet, heavy, necessary. You do not celebrate cutting out poison. You breathe because it is no longer inside you. The estate team began unloading luggage, but not into the house. Each bag was tagged and placed near the van for inventory. Brianna protested about her cosmetics. My mother demanded her jewelry safe. Dana explained that anything purchased with disputed assets would remain under review. My mother screamed again then. That was the scream the neighbors heard. This cannot be happening, she shouted, clutching the court order as if squeezing it could change the ink. This is my life, my house, my name. I walked down one step, close enough that she had to look at me. No, Mother, it was my father's legacy, and you mistook access for ownership. Her mouth twisted. You will be alone forever. I nodded once. Maybe, but I will never be hungry in that house again. For the first time, she had no answer. The driver, poor man, stood beside the SUV, pretending not to exist. I handed him an extra $100 for the trouble. He thanked me quietly. My mother watched that simple act of payment with a fury I almost pitied. The officer escorted her toward the patrol car, not in handcuffs, but with enough firmness to remove the illusion that she was choosing anything. Brianna followed, crying into her phone, already composing a version of events where she was the victim of my jealousy. Before my mother got into the car, she turned back. You were always difficult, she said. I looked at the mansion behind me, at the windows I had once feared, at the door that had finally locked in my favor. No, I said. I was always inconvenient to your lies. The car door closed. When they drove away, the driveway became quiet again. Not empty. Quiet. There is a difference. Dana stood beside me for a moment. Are you all right? I touched my cheek. I will be. Inside, the house smelled like lemon polish and old wood. Sunlight poured across the foyer, touching the staircase, the portraits, the chandelier, the marble floor where my mother had once made me kneel to scrub a wine stain during a Christmas party because a guest might notice. For years, I thought the house was haunted by what happened to me. But standing there alone, I realized it was only waiting for someone to tell the truth. A year later, the Lake Forest House became the Hayes Foundation residence, a temporary home for young women aging out of foster care who needed a safe place, financial education, and legal support. The first night the girls moved in, I stocked the kitchen myself. Bread, fruit, soup, rice, pasta, eggs, milk, snacks, everything. Too much, probably. I opened the refrigerator 3 times, just to look at it full. One girl, 17, stood in the doorway, holding a backpack to her chest. Is this really for us? She asked. I thought about $30 on marble. I thought about locked doors. I thought about how hunger teaches children to apologize for existing. Yes, I told her. All of it. That night, after everyone went to sleep, I sat alone on the front porch. The same porch where my mother had ordered me to pay a driver. The same steps where she had slapped me. The same house, but not the same life. For a long time, I believed survival meant becoming hard enough that nothing could touch me. I was wrong. Survival meant becoming clear enough that poison could no longer confuse itself with love. My mother wanted a mansion. My sister wanted comfort. My father wanted protection. And me? I wanted the front door to open for the right people. So when people ask if I regret what I did that day, I tell them the truth. I do not regret locking my mother out. I regret how many years I spent begging for a key to a house that was already mine.